Welcome to episode 12 of the LoraineCounty.com Business Insights Podcast. I'm your host, Ed Skimin, and today we're talking with Cathie Leimbach, founder of Agon Leadership. Join us as Cathie talks about transforming leadership for the modern workplace. In our discussion, Cathie shares insights on the emerging trends in leadership, the importance of building trust, promoting collaboration, and ensuring employees feel valued. She stresses the different attitudes of younger employees and offers strategies for tackling leadership challenges related to retention. Cathie also highlights the need for clarity and accountability in remote work scenarios, and concludes with her own leadership journey and the motivations behind Agon Leadership. Here is my conversation with Cathie Leimbach. In today's dynamic professional environment, the approach leaders take to inspire and guide their teams can be the defining factor between a thriving organization and one that struggles to retain its talent and momentum. Gone are the days of command and control mindset. Instead, a new age of leadership beckons for an approach that fosters trust, inspiration, and collaboration. It's about ensuring employees feel valued, respected, which directly affects morale, retention, initiative, and productivity. Ultimately, this equates to a healthier bottom line for businesses. As we navigate this evolving landscape, leadership development is an important topic for forward-thinking business owners. To shed light on this, I'm in Avon Lake, Ohio, with Cathie Leimbach, founder of Agon Leadership. Hi, Cathie. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, Ed. Good afternoon.
Thanks for joining us. Let's start with trends. What are some emerging trends in leadership development that local business owners should be aware of?
Younger people are expecting that they enjoy their workplace. They're not nearly as willing to compartmentalize as people 50s and up. And they care about being satisfied with their work, having positive relationships at work, even if they're working remotely. They care that their relationship with peers and their supervisor is positive, and they feel respected and valued in that place. They're not working just for money.
So, what are some common challenges leaders face today?
Some common challenges that workplace leaders face today is if employees don't feel satisfied, they're going to leave fairly quickly. Millennials and Gen Z are staying an average of 2 years in an organization where baby boomers stayed an average of 15 years. Younger people are not sticking around to gradually learn how to move up the ladder, and people are quitting their jobs when they're frustrated. So there's a much higher level of turnover. Another challenge is that adults in people's lives, parents, teachers, extracurricular advisors, have not been preparing recent teenagers to be young adults the way the adults in teenagers' lives did 30 and 40 years ago. So currently, many of the people that are entering the full-time workforce don't have the same experiences, the same degree of self-sufficiency, and they're not as ready to be a self-sufficient individual and tackle the challenges of the workplace. Schools and even college and parents are not currently showing signs of addressing that. If employers want reliable, long-stay employees, they may have to do that preparation for adulthood work with their new hires rather than expecting people are going to come with those skills.
So, what are some tools or strategies employers can use to do that?
One of the tools that can be used is helping those new hires to just understand about self-leadership. Help them to develop resilience so when there's a challenge at work, they can relatively calmly work on it. Another is the fulfilling expectations of reliability and strong attendance. If you're hired for 5 8-hour shifts, we really do expect you to be here for 5 8-hour shifts. And another is a positive attitude to not get bent out of shape when there are problems or when they make an error, but to be, that's part of learning. Now, how do I improve? It requires more training than many employers have been used to doing if you want people to be high-performing, but there are those self-leadership resources available. However, That only addresses 30% of the challenges in the workplace. When leaders may say, I wish the workforce would just apply itself and be more productive, individual members of the workforce are only responsible for 30% of the factors that influence their productivity. The other 70% are controlled by managers. If their technology is not adequate to do the job, the managers have to approve capital purchases. If they've not given adequate training, the company needs to give them time and access to that training. And if an employee says, could you please help me? And the manager says, figure it out yourself. There's recent research that shows that people in the first 2 years of employment, on average, are spending 1,100 hours a year looking for the information they need to do their job. There are a number of leadership development programs available to help those managers. Most of them share information, and then the managers need to figure out how to implement it themselves. There are a few, and conversational management, which is one of the programs I deliver to clients, is actually designed to share the knowledge and develop the skills. So we do scenarios. People learn why you should lead with open-ended questions rather than with a dictatorial style, because it values employees more. It makes them think through their work so they become day-to-day problem solvers. And it empowers them to have the confidence to proceed when the leader is busy at something else.
You mentioned earlier about work from home. Many business owners are still adjusting to this idea of remote work. From your perspective, what are some strategies that leaders can implement to ensure productivity and engage remote teams?
Two important practices of leaders that many leaders are not doing is being crystal clear on what they expect employees to achieve. Another is holding them accountable to fulfilling expectations. When people are in the workplace, the manager can see that they're not on the right track, and then they periodically remind them or clarify. When someone is remote, they're not as likely to notice, sometimes even for months, that the employee isn't on the right track. When someone is managing a remote worker, they must upfront be crystal clear with expectations. Give a metric, state quality, state quantity. Ask the employee, just to see if I've communicated well. What are you understanding I'm expecting from you this week, month, quarter? And only if the employee states back all of those specifics that matter to the manager has it been adequately communicated. Another thing remote managers need to do is reach out into their employees every week. The best way to do this is to have a preset day and time for those meetings. All employees function best if they have a consistent 15 to 30-minute one-on-one meeting with their employer, their supervisor, every week. In the office, many people do that casually. Remotely, it needs to be scheduled. And it needs to happen because you're not going to just run into each other.
If you were talking to a young business leader who wanted to improve their leadership skills, what are 2 or 3 areas that they should focus on improving?
They should focus on improving their open-ended questions and reflective listening so that they are really understanding what the developmental level is of their employees, and they're encouraging their employees to think and not be dependent on them. Another is they should have written expectations, precise expectations. They should be discussing those in a two-way conversation with their employee every time they give them a new assignment, and then every quarter or at least every 6 months. And a third is they should be monitoring progress towards expectations, praising everything that your employee is doing towards meeting expectations, and confronting in a neutral tone of voice everything that they aren't meeting.
Let me move a little more personal. What led you to found Agon Leadership? What were you doing before, and what are you proud of accomplishing since founding the company?
Growing up, both of my parents were active holding officer positions in community organizations. I held leadership roles in 4-H and high school and youth group, all through university. And as I started working full-time and getting involved in industry organizations, I was hearing about the catastrophes that were happening in organizations because of poor leadership. And I'd been blessed with the opportunity to attend a variety of leadership development programs and was aware that there's so much out there about leadership that most people aren't even aware exists. I formed Agon Leadership to support leaders who wanted to be more effective so that their company was a good place to work.
Outside of your professional life, what are some passions or hobbies that you engage in that help bring a fresh perspective to your work?
Some of the things that I do outside of work are I enjoy spending a lot of family time. I sit on the boards of a few nonprofits that help people grow. I'm currently my church's liaison with one of the elementary schools in the city of Lorraine in the Adopt a School program because education matters to me, and I'm very concerned that Ohio's educational standards for K-12 education do not position us to be a star. The city of Lorraine is the largest community in the county, and levels of educational achievement in that school district impact the whole county. And so I'm playing a part in helping to strengthen the educational experience.
Cathie, thank you so much for sharing your insights and expertise with us today. If anyone wants to learn more, please visit Agon Leadership's website at agonleadership.com or follow the link in the show notes. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the LoraineCounty.com Business Insights Podcast. We hope you found this conversation informative and that it provided some ideas that will help your business continue to grow. Please follow us on your favorite podcast platform to hear each episode where we shine a spotlight on local resources that will boost your business. And we want to hear from you. Email ed@loraincounty.com to share your feedback and topic ideas.